So, welcome everyone formally to the Queering EMDR Therapy book release party. Woohoo! Uh, the book came out on September 12th, 2025 here, and many of us were at the EMDRIA conference and got to celebrate in person. We did, however, want to create this virtual space, especially since some of our friends could not be at the conference. And guests are invited as well. If you want to come in today, I see we have some guests here. If you want to ask a question, just hang out and listen to the wisdom and the banter of some of our contributors, you're welcome to. We did have a little icebreaker that we put out there, which is if you had entrance music, what would your entrance music be? Danielle just dropped in. Hers is "We Will Rock You" by Queen. I love that choice for you, Danielle. That's fantastic. So I'm Dr. Jamie Marich. I'm the director of the Institute for Creative Mindfulness. I'm the producer of Creative Mindfulness Media who put out the book, wrote the forward for the book, and I got to know a lot of these amazing humans through the process of creating the book. And I'd like to turn over our gathering to the amazing editor. Let's give her either Zoom icon appreciation, spirit fingers, the ASL applause, however you'd like to, for Roshni Chabra. So Roshni, the mic is yours.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. So excited to be here with you guys. As Jamie was saying, we released the book on the 12th, and we've gotten really great feedback from folks. And I'm really excited to be here with especially my friends from the book who couldn't be there in person. So definitely want to make sure everyone gets a moment to introduce themselves and say anything they'd like to about their chapter and or the book, and share what you'd like, and then we will go into some questions and talk a little bit more in detail. So Finn, I see you first to the right of me, even though you may not be for everyone else's screen. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you if you're good with that. Get some Finn time.
I am always up for a spotlight, no matter what. But I do have to say, we didn't get hair and makeup before, so we might need to do that for the next time. But hi, all. I am Dr. Lanza. I also go by Tiff or Finn. Identity crisis in 2025. This is how we survive. I am just so overwhelmed with joy and love from this amazing collection of humans. We have talked a lot about community over the last couple of years, and it has been something that was really hard to define and understand. And it wasn't until joining this amazing family that I was like, this is it. Here's community. So I am just so grateful to know all of you humans and all the things. I'm also super grateful because for my very ADHD brain, I don't have to remember much about my chapter because it is number one. So thank you to whoever did that. You just made my life so much easier. So I am just super excited. I don't know what else to say. I'm all kinds of vibraty today, but yeah, that's me. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. And Stephen Halliday.
Hello. Are we doing pins? Oh yeah, there I'm highlighted. Hello, good to meet you all. I'm Steve. I'm wearing this. I got it at and for the conference and wore it the whole time because it was fun. And yeah, so I wrote, are we talking just in terms of like what we wrote, who we are?
Yeah, just an introduction, what you'd like folks to know about you, and if you'd like to say a line or two about your chapter, we'll have more time to talk about it.
And what's your
Absolutely.
sign? And what's your sign?
My sign, Virgo, actually, just birthday earlier this month. So happy middle 40s. But yeah, I'm in Buffalo, New York. We may have my cat come in and visit at some point because he cannot not be here whenever I'm on a meeting. But yeah, I wrote a lot about experiences and how that's fits in with my understanding of both healing and the specific ways that trauma can come forward for queer folks as we're working to heal from it. So yeah, I'm sure we'll have more to say if anybody is interested. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve. All right. So adding you in, Aaron. Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not give you a heads up. Here you are.
Woo! Hello. Hey,
right. Hi, everyone. Good to be here. Good to see Roshni and Jamie and Lisa and Finn and Steve and everybody and that we saw at the not the retreat. Oh my gosh, the conference and not. So it's good to see everybody here. My name's Erin, obviously. My chapter is about neuroqueering EMDR, so essentially making it inclusive for all neurotypes. I'm speaking specifically from an ADHD perspective, also CPTSD, but I talk a little bit about like lived experience, also how to adapt to the framework and general like guidelines, I guess, because I found that in my work as a consultant, so many people were so like confused about how do I adapt this for somebody and really not thinking through how do I make this more accessible to somebody? How do I make it work for them? They were trying to make the EMDR work for their client, or they're making the client work for the EMDR, not the EMDR work for the client. And so my whole chapter is basically about how to do that, how to ask questions to your clients, a little bit of language, etc. Um, yeah, and obviously I'm very scattered today. This is my first thing of the day, so my professional face is not on, and here we are.
I love this face.
Thanks.
All the faces. All right, Lisa, here you come.
See how I got a warning there, Erin? Hi, so my name is Lisa Hayes. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm coming from the ever like more and more troubled Midwest in Ohio. I'm rocking some merch. Shout out to Cash for their dope design of the
I
tumbler.
love that.
What else? Oh, I was supposed to talk a bit about the chapter. Yeah, my chapter has all to do with my own process of using EMDR therapy to process through complex trauma and grief after the death of my mother. So, what I'll say is it's deeply vulnerable and intimate, and I didn't really think that through before going to a conference where then people were speaking about it. So I think my experience of it was a really connected one as well. It felt really special to have folks just kind of share space in something that I think maybe most of us, I felt isolation in the majority of my life around death and grief. So that was super cool to do. And to do it from a queer lens felt like some liberation for me personally. And I hope for people who read it. So I appreciate the space.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Danielle, here we go.
So I'm been out of practice a little, so I just had to take a moment to unmute myself. I needed the prompt. It's so good to see you all. Some of you I haven't met before. Some of you I worked with before online, and some people I met in person. I'm very heartened by just the fantastic group of people that's come together and how the queering process of EMDR has blossomed. And so there are all these little seeds that were planted that were springing as flowers a couple years back, and now it's really turned into a wonderful, diverse garden. So I really appreciate that. I've had some health issues, so I haven't really been that active for the last 10 months. But I was really, I was heartened when Roshni reached out and encouraged me to complete the book chapter. By the way, I'm a therapist in the Buffalo, New York area, and I have a small caseload. One of the things that happens when I came back from my health challenges, I started working. I have a group of clients that I work with, mostly gender diverse, and all over the spectrum, and also allies and friends and family members. So I probably could have a larger caseload, but I have to look at my own self-care because one of the things, because I'm a survivor of complex trauma, there's a tendency for me to run full speed and try to save the world. And I really have to look at balancing that with my own health and then modeling my own health for the people that I'm working with. I think, what I would say is even in New York, which is a relatively safe state, there's a lot of fear about the politics. I've had more and more people talking about relocating to another country. We're actually very close to another country because I think I'm 10 miles from the Canadian border. But it's harder to get there than just going 10 miles. So, but I think within this context, I think this is a time where, like, what I noticed is our clients really need us because some of them don't know where to turn. Some of them were really unsure about where they were going with their transition or their coming out process. And now that they're feeling much more fearful than they were. And so how do they work through that? How do they find a safe place for themselves? I think that's always, that's the question that I see people talking about. And look, I have one more point, and it just floated out of my mind. But I do think that so it has been very heartening. We're seeing more and more people being out about their queerness as therapists. And so with that comes, and as Lisa pointed out, with that comes a bit about self-disclosure. And there are times that I regret that, because that means that people that aren't particularly friendly or affirming are going to know my story. And there are other times that it is so empowering for the people that I work with and people that I have contact with. And I think so that's one of the dilemmas when we're writing the book and when we're acting as therapists and we're being public. And I came out late in life, fully came out late in life. And so that I can chronicle back when our current pundits laud what a wonderful, peaceful world we had in the 1950s. I can tell you that's a whole bunch of crap, and it was. And if you were to come out as queer, you'd be condemning yourself to be an outsider. And that's what kept so many people from finding themselves. So not surprising, because I'm going to end here because I'm starting to sense that I've taken up a bit of a lot of time. But my sign is, interesting enough, Gemini. And so there's always this balance, like the dance was between my male and female self, and really pushing the female self away, feeling out of survival. And what I understood is I needed to embrace that female self for survival. And so that's what brings me here. And that's why Roshni and Jamie were just wonderful people to meet, and they really opened up a whole world for me. Some of you also have always been wonderful, have also been wonderful people to meet, but I just really wanted to acknowledge them as leading this. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Daniel. I'm so glad that you made it. We missed you at the conference. So great.
So did the book sell out? I heard the book sold out.
At the conference, the book sold out. Yes,
Yeah.
Unfortunately we only got about half our order arrive on time, and it sold out quickly, and we had to take other orders. But speaking of orders, I did drop a link in the chat where you can order the book. I know a lot of you as contributors have your copy of the book, but we will need you, as you feel so called, to keep spreading the word about it. So the link that we've prepared on the Queering EMDR website gives all of your major ordering options. And a couple of you have asked about international orders. It is slowly starting to come more online with international outlets. I know the book has reached Australia and Canada. So yeah, keep an eye for the international outlets continuing to populate. But we have all of our major outlets here in the US carrying it. And another thing you can do to really help spread the word about the book is encourage people to leave reviews. As contributors, it may not be the most ethical thing for you to leave a review of yourself or a book you were a part of. But if you know people in your network who have read the book, who are reading it, have liked it, and they could leave a review on the like of Amazon or Barnes and Noble, that does help with search algorithms. So encourage people not just to read and buy, but to leave a review wherever they may have bought it. Roshni also just shared in the chat the Queering EMDR Instagram, which you can continue to share. And somebody asked me in the chat about what about this fabulous merch we all keep talking about. Our artistic and technical director Garrett LaValle designed it based on some of the folks' artwork from the book, and we got the link there for the merch as well. So, all right, Roshni, I will let you keep calling on people.
Thank you. Tawana Marie Woolfolk. Here we go. No? I'm like, are you saying no or are you saying yes? Okay. I know you said you got to leave early, so I can come back to you if you want.
No, I'm laughing at myself because I had heard someone say, "What's the title of your book?" And I was like, "Shit, what's the title of my book? What's the title of the chapter?"
The
So,
link. Yes.
So I put it in the what you call it. Hello, y'all. I didn't know if I was going to be able to attend. I'm in Illinois, about to travel back to Connecticut, but I just first of all, to be in community with our authorship that weren't able to join us in California. I'm really here. I want to get so emotional. I'm here for them because I know what it's like to not be celebrated, and so I know how tender it is to. I did not want to miss out on what for many of us might be a really healing, corrective emotional experience, and I wanted to be there for myself, but all of us, but particularly those I did not get to meet and hug and see and holler and shout. So here we are. And then I don't know what else I'm supposed to help me out. I've been training for 3 days, so I'm a mess. EMDR. Oh.
Very good. To you, just yeah. Oh, here is something we want to know your sign.
My sign. So I'm a cusp, Sagittarius, Capricorn. I was born under Capricorn, crescent moon. My fiery social justice side is all Sag, and the me that is unmasking with profound healing, particularly from EMDR, but being in generative community and spaces like this is my beautiful Capricorn moon side that only special people get to see. And so that's why I also had to show up.
Thank you.
Just grateful to be a part of this movement, y'all. It's a thing. And thank you, everyone that showed up, everyone that is joining us and celebrating. Thank you. And thank you, Roshni and Jamie.
Thank you for being here. I'm so glad you made it. Cash, here you come.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me. I do want to share with all of you because you will get this, but I just got my internet fixed after it being broken for a week, and as a counselor, working off a hotspot is terrible. So celebrating that today. I am a Scorpio. So my moon sign is Libra and my rising is Aries. All are very important to me, and they kind of come together to create like a fire, air, water conglomerate of vortex energy that helps me keep up on my my very important goal of creating queer community across the states and the globe, and being in right relationship with the queer community. As well as other marginalized groups of people. So that's like kind of what we is our North Star at all times. Our chapter is about the 4 pillars of who I am, which is parts work, EMDR, psychedelics, and dance. Each one of those entities can save your life, and then together they can like create a profound network for an individual to thrive in this lifetime. As far as I did just want to shout out specifically dance and psychedelics because we're all talking parts work and EMDR in these spaces, which both are very important. But psychedelics and dance are talked about a lot less frequently, and there are research studies showing that dance is actually has higher rates of success higher than SSRIs. So there's untapped potential in that, and then psychedelics is are wise teachers, and the plant medicine is they carry ancient knowledge, and our systems of oppression have not been helping. Our systems are not secure parents, but you know who is secure is some of these the very sacred plant medicines, including trees and the land, and identify as being raised the lake that I grew up on and the trees and the land that I was lucky enough to grow up north. And in general, we've lost touch with our reciprocity with nature, and I'm constantly trying to help people bring that back online. We won't survive without reciprocity with nature and land. Um, and we as white people really need to step it up as far as how we treat the land and how we treat our folks of color in the world, um, and these things really matter. And so thank you for having me. I am a nature boy, and I hope to continue to spread that on to others and help people feel safer and more securely attached because of their relationship with nature. I love all of you. It's so nice to see you all that I saw at the conference, and those of you who I didn't see. I honor all of you. It's been a great sacred thing to be in a book with such amazing people. Thank you.
Thank you, Cash. Oh, there you are. Okay. I think we lost the video for a sec, but internet.
Well, that's my internet problem.
Well, we can definitely hear you. Now we can see you. So thank you so much, Cash. Always great to see you, and love what you bring in terms of nature and dance, psychedelics, very cool stuff. So glad you could be here. And Sarah Rose Hogan, come on down. I feel like I'm playing a old school, one of those TV shows.
What do I have to do? Woo! Like run down like that. Hi everyone. Hi everyone. My name's Sarah Rose Hogan. I typically identify as neurodivergent plus, so ADHD, but also live with dissociated parts and have some learning disabilities. Right? So I just put the plus and call it a day. That's what I do. Just to mimic what folks have said, I'm really honored. And yeah, just grateful to be in this space with everybody here, follow the journey of this book with everybody, hear everyone. It's just incredible. Before I forget, I'm a Taurus, and I very much identify with that. And I wish I remembered exactly, but I'm like a Taurus, like something like that. It's like showing up in multiple spaces. That's how you know how touristy I am. My chapter was boundaries and belonging, 18. And it's about, for me, it was really about reclaiming, being no contact with a parent. So kind of the experience of actually writing about that and having it be out there publicly has been really healing for me. Taking back this, what is for me an act of self-protection that has really in my family and a lot of the ways just in society used as like something bad about me that I need to hide and not tell people, and instead to own it as something I'm allowed to do to protect myself. Yeah. And also related to my queerness, it's been incredible to be in this space because I have felt as like a bisexual person that's now married to a man, and I've been told like I should kind of quiet down about that because of my marriage, and by other therapists as well. So just to be like, no, I'm not quieting down. I'm actually stepping up has been really meaningful to me as well. And I really wanted to talk about narcissism specifically in this chapter from like a neurodiversity affirming perspective. I think we can sometimes push those brain differences out because they're like stigmatized in a different way. We don't want to include them in the neurodiversity affirming movement. And I feel really strongly about speaking out against that and really helping people by also helping people that are hurt and are hurting other people, if that makes sense. So yeah. And let me show you my little protective guide that I have with me here too, just because why not? When I was like, when Cash, when you were saying like you were raised by the lake and the woods, I hope I'm saying that right. I was raised by my dog, Sammy. So thank you.
Nice, thank you. Okay, let's see. Seeing who's next. The good Reverend Carla Fleshman here. Come on down.
Howdy, folks. I'm wearing my shirt today.
Yeah.
So I am a Virgo. I'm a solid Virgo. And from the Chinese sign of monkey, yeah, that tracks too. That fits me to a T. My chapter is entitled The Forgotten Parts of Me, a clinician's journey through breast cancer and early childhood trauma. Not things on your typical bucket list, but apparently they were. The chapter is about really the intersection of queer, cancer, dissociative experiences, and EMDR. And, I actually kind of realizing that for the last few years, this month coming up was a very dysregulating month, and it took a journey to figure out why. So I'm actually looking forward to celebrating November 10th will be 5 years breast cancer free. And funnily enough, on the very same date, November 10th, due to a medical trauma event at the breast surgeon's office, I will be celebrating, yes, celebrating 3 years system aware. This is my team. This is my team. And as I like to say, once upon a time, we were a baby dyke, and I used to have a T-shirt that said, I'm not a lesbian, but my girlfriend is. I think I want to create a T-shirt that says, I'm not plural, but my parts are. And really, this chapter is my coming out because I realized way back when that God made me gay. The God of my understanding made me gay. And I also realized, too, in this journey that the God of my understanding was the only source with me in the depth of some of the hardest, most challenging times that we experienced way back when. And I have no shame about being queerific, transtastic, and I have no shame about what we experienced. I have no shame in how my brain is normal. My brain is normal based upon the life experiences I have had. And so much of what this chapter has helped me do and what I want to continue to do is fucking challenge the narratives of disorder, dysregulation, dysfunction that are placed on persons rather than on systems. And with that, I shall silence myself, only for now.
Yes, please don't in general. Thank you, Reverend. All right, Steph Brashear, come on down. I like this come on down thing.
We're playing queering EMDR.
My name is Steph. I'm in Providence, Rhode Island. The chapter I wrote is called The Sacred Act of Unbreaking. As life would have it, based on the timing of this book, I was on the phone with Roshni doing a consultation, and I was talking to her about a case, and the next thing I know, I had committed to doing a chapter for this book, and it all just happened so fast. But immediately after it, I ended up dealing with some autoimmune issues, so I haven't really been able to be a part of this the way I would have wished, but I'm so glad to be here with y'all now. Yeah, I wrote this chapter based on some life experience and then on, the work that I've been doing with clients since graduating. Honestly, the chapter started to form while I was in an ethics class in my Christian university, and the professor was talking about how to avoid working with gay people without getting in trouble. And so this book or this chapter has been forming in my head ever since. And yeah, I'm just so happy to be here with you, and yeah, being around folks that just get it feels good. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Steph. Carmine, come on down. Carmine Abigail.
Hello. They, them pronouns and coming from Belfast, Maine. Um, and I just want to say I've got the book in front of me and it just feels good, you know? It's like it's dense. There's so many thoughts in here. And they're infinite too. And I have so much FOMO about not going to the Emdria festival is what it seemed like. All of you looked like you were
Because it
having,
was.
yeah, it seemed like it was so much fun. But that group chat that we've had going for so long was just such a delight to be a part of. And I feel like every time we've all been in space together virtually, it's just so different. It's a really refreshing experience. Even just entering with "What's your sign?" It's so queer. So I'm glad that we, anchor into that. So I'm an Aquarius sun, Cancer rising, Capricorn moon. So also balancing a lot of elements. I'm a very visual person, so I went with a visual chapter. I'm a comic book artist. And it's good to claim that right now because before writing this chapter, I had not really made any art in about a year and a half or 2 years. I was in a real grief space and I was just coming out of this cocoon when I started working on this chapter. And so it's called Ayeka, which is a Hebrew word for essentially, where are you? Who are you becoming? Which felt very fitting. And I think it's the idea of call and response that has been echoing through this whole year, working with Roshni and having a call and response of like helping to build this chapter, and just the honesty and the courage of like neither of us have really done this before. Let's call and respond and see how this works to publish this. And also I'm just really excited to see what the call and response is in this book, like how we are talking to each other in this book, and how others will be calling and responding who read who read this book, because all of you are very inspiring people, and there's just a lot of energy too. I feel like there's a lot in the group chat, just call response, and the neurospicy elements of that have just been so enlivening. Um, but it, I really stepped outside my comfort zone to mostly tell my story about coming to EMDR, and that's not something I'm typically doing. As a comic book artist, I like to do comics about myself, but it had been so long. And there had been a lot of changes. I'd gone through a top surgery and family conflict around that, and all of these things. So it felt like the cocoon like burst open, and I was like, this is terrifying. But now that I see it in print, it really warms my heart because when I started EMDR as a client in 2012, I had no idea how to verbalize my story. I still have a hard time verbalizing things. I'm much more visual. But I remember my EMDR therapist at the times, she was very creative and very insightful. And she said, why don't you bring some pen and paper to the next session and you can just draw? And that's when it just like came out of me. Um, so this feels like just like a full circle call and response to that 2012 self. And never imagined that I would put that story in print. So I feel really, really grateful for this experience. And truly this story and this group has been such an anchor in helping me continue to tell my story this year and move out of a grief space. And just find a lot of meaning in the things that I went through the past couple of years. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Carmine. All right. So I don't know if you're away, Sauce, or if you'd like to also introduce yourself. Let me know. And then I think I got everybody, but if I missed anybody, please do let me know. I'm going to come back to the gallery view and see if anyone in the audience has a question. Michael, I think you raised your hand earlier. I don't know if that was on purpose, but
looks like Sauce is on camera. If we want to hear from
Sauce. Okay, hang on one second. Thank you. Where are you, Sauce? There you are. All right, come on down, Sauce.
I love a game show. So thank you for doing that part. Good morning. My name is Sauce. I am, let's see, I'm a Libra. My birthday is on Thursday. So I am at a pre-birthday vacation at the Russian River. It's beautiful here. BT Dub, if you haven't been. You should make a trip if you can. Let's see. I am grateful for Roshni for encouraging me the whole way. Was very enthusiastic at the beginning to write something about my experience with EMDR, and lost some steam along the way and was reading a chapter of an interview with Audre Lorde and Adrienne Marie Brown, and I was like, I kind of want to do an interview. So Roshni entertained the idea, and so we did an interview of my experience in EMDR, processing the grief of my mom's death when I was early in my 20s and still in college. And my experience in EMDR was amazing. It really helped me push through that experience and recognize kind of that my mom is all around me all the time, which was really a much better experience than what I was having prior. So thank you, Roshni, for encouraging me to get that through. And happy birthday to all the Libras out there. And I know we just finished Virgo season, so happy birthday to all the Virgos too. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sauce. I'm glad you made it. Thanks for pausing your vacation to come hang out with us. I do miss that Russian River. I'm going to have to come up there soon.
So Roshni, before we open it for questions, I don't think we introduced our signs.
I was going to say, did you say sign, JB?
I'm a Cancer.
Okay.
And you?
I'm a Virgo Leo cusper. So what's up, Leos? Some of you just had birthdays recently.
Yeah. All right, question time.
Yeah.
Michael, you can go ahead. We saw your hand up earlier.
Yeah, it wasn't a question, but I'm Tawana Marie's partner, and she's done so much for me. I mean, I don't think I'd be here today if it wasn't for her. Her attitude, her caring, her energy. She's brought me back from a place that was not good in my life. She's helping me to get back to where I should be in my life. I just want to thank you to everyone there, to Anna's friends, to Jamie, because she talks about you guys so much. And I'm just proud as hell of her talking into my phone and not being my face. Delano, I love you so much. You're the best. And I can't wait for you to get home.
So nice to meet you, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
much.
Babe, is it okay to share, not details, but that high level that this book saved your life?
Oh yeah, you can. I'd be honored for you
Because
to
I
do
just
that.
think that's important, part of the roots connected to what you're saying. That intuitively I felt, interestingly enough, my chapter on self-disclosure, that sharing a part of an excerpt of the chapter, and where it was the turning point for him and got him into therapy. And he said, I want you to let them know that if it wasn't for this book, it's not even out yet, I don't know if I'd still be alive. So I just want to already just make it a thing that this is a movement. This is meant to be out here. So thank you, babe. And thank you to my community, my team.
I love you, babe. So much.
Thank you so much. We're glad you're here, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Any other thoughts, comments, or questions? Don't have to be questions, so feel free to share. Raising your hand can be helpful so we make sure that we get to you, but if not, you can unmute yourself. Lisa, go ahead. Yeah.
I just thought it might be important for everyone to know that I'm a Sagittarius. And I need to share this. So I was telling my spouse after we had our last, I don't remember what it was. It was like a panel or something. I got off the call and I was like, I'm just less cool than all these people. They know their whole birth chart. So my friend Erica Smith, who's also an ICM person, has a friend who will do your birth chart for you if you send her what I thought was a very sad and needy text message that said, please make me as cool as these people I'm hanging out with. So now I know that my moon is in Aquarius. I don't actually know what that means, but I'm a Sagittarius. Thought that might be helpful for anyone who deeply understands what that might imply about my personality. Thank you, Tawana. I was like, I can't compete with these cool people.
I'm so glad you did.
Oh, thank you so much, Lisa.
And if anybody else didn't get to say their sign, you can drop it in the chat. I see Erin dropping theirs.
I have mine written down somewhere because that's how much I know. The sun and the rising. Love it.
I will say I'll take this for what it's worth. I had a lovely neighbor here at my complex recently read my Vedic astrology chart. And he shared with me a bunch of cool things on it, but the most telling thing was my chart shows I was not meant to be tied down and stayed married. And I'm like, wow, they got that one right. And he said, you may have concerned most fathers if you were living in India. So yes. I just wanted to give a shout out to the Vedic system for nailing that one pretty accurately with my star chart. So
love it. We love our astrology and telling you what day to marry and when or matching. So you can get really into it. I think I have like a whole binder of mine somewhere. Not that I know how to read. So yeah, Autumn has a question. And hello and welcome, Autumn. What made you fall in love with EMDR specifically?
Great question.
Okay.
I could offer a thought, if I may.
Yes.
And I have a background in philosophy, and so the most annoying thing I'll do anytime anyone asks me a question is I'll give them a different question, because I think at the heart of it I didn't fall in love with EMDR, and I'm not in love with EMDR. EMDR is a useful, it is a powerful, and I think very, in many ways, a very needed tool in a lot of spaces. But I'm not in love with EMDR, I'm in love with people. And EMDR is what helps me to serve people. My cat is squeaking at us in agreement. Um, but if I'm ever looking down here, if there's something, it's because there's a cat who needs my attention. But it's not EMDR that I love. It is the people on the other end of the relationship with whom I'm a co-experiencer of the EMDR. So that's how I think of it, and I'd love to hear other thoughts.
I'm totally in love with EMDR, just to give a juxtaposition opinion. So when I was 19, nothing else was helping me. I was lost, I was traumatized, nothing else was helping me. And this is like kind of what I keep saying is there's these wiser entities than our own human consciousness. And EMDR is sentient in a way. It is loving, it wants to help, it's here to help. And it was the reason that I was able to even start to even understand my consciousness and my subconscious because that had been all taken away from me unconsensually with my trauma.
I'm gonna jump in, backing off my queering EMDR twin, Cash. Thank you, Cash. I totally love EMDR, and I also see how flawed it can be, and that was where I was ready to dive in, right? Like, okay, this actually is where we can build and grow and make this accessible. It was also the first place in my attempt to understand my version of decolonizing therapy finally made sense. It finally took me out of the equation, right? We're taught like you are the facilitator, you are the therapist, you're this. And I'm like, no, this is about me just riding along with people and giving them paths that they can choose. And this was the first time that I finally got to go, it's your turn, bud. Take the wheel. And that just felt so amazing.
Thank you. Great.
Yeah, I think that's why I love EMDR is because it gives that space in the therapeutic engagement, right? Where it's flexible and there is structure to it. So I also think in our Western psychotherapy world, as we're kind of, creating this movement and changing things, it does give people structure to some extent to go off of, but then you can modify. And I think it gives a nice titration both for the client and the therapist to be able to go in as they're comfortable with, build rapport, et cetera, if needed, or we can jump right in, right? If people are really resourced for that, really want that, we can go where they want to go. We don't have to spend, 8 months building rapport. If you're ready, let's do this, right? It just requires that we have an agreement together. And so there is this like relational piece that I think is really cool. And you can just do fun stuff with it, right? We don't have to be here stuffy and, watching the special light back and forth. We can do a lot of different things to make EMDR work for us.
Thanks, Erin.
I have a lot to say on this, and I did share in the chat an article that I wrote kind of reviewing the conference experience because I'm in a place with the EMDR. I'm one of the most elder people on the screen with doing it, perhaps the elder most. And it's interesting because I really cannot stand a lot of the institution of psychotherapy, the institution of EMDR training, the institutionality of the trauma industry. And I was moaning about that to somebody the other day, and their answer was, "Well, do you still like practice EMDR?" I'm like, "Of course, like it's my core therapeutic practice, along with other things, because I like to say EMDR plays well with other therapies if we let it." Cash's chapter speaks very well to this. I feel like my whole journey with EMDR has been similar to my journey with religions and spiritualities, though. Having grown up with a lot of spiritual and religious trauma, I've had to find a way to make it my own, to keep the faith in it, because at its core, EMDR is the thing that, I know we overuse this phrase a lot, saved our life, but it saved our life at the time we had it in 2004, because we were 2 years sober from our chemical addiction, but we still wanted to die. That's the place we were in. And this weird thing that was pitched to us felt like it was something worth trying. And it's the reason we're still here, and the reason that I still feel very passionate about the therapy, despite a lot of the bullshit that can surround it in our field. And it's one of the reasons I really wanted to get this book out in the world, is to show that diverse voices can do diverse things, diverse, not even voices, diverse experiences can do wonderful things with this therapy. It's not a monolith. So thanks for the question.
Great question. I will say I fell in love with the EMDR because I think there was always something kind of pulling me that way. I had thought about getting trained for a long time. I'd worked in the rape crisis movement for 5 years prior to becoming a therapist. And when I became a therapist, I kind of fell into that specialty. And what I would see over and over again is that people would get better. And then one day out of nowhere, it would just feel like they were right back there. And I kind of described that as like the healing sediment that was just there at the bottom that wouldn't clear. And so the first time I experienced EMDR was actually in my training. As we went through the live demo, I was like, pick me, and Dr. Stephen Danziger called me up. And I was like, wait, this is really gone? I feel different. Okay, I'm interested. I'm into it. And then that night I slept like a baby. I want to say the best sleep I've ever had in my life. And I just felt a shift. So, after that, I was in trouble. We were getting married. There was a U-Haul the next day. No, kid. But yes, I definitely feel that the empowerment that my clients get is so priceless. And as an intersectional feminist therapist, the level of choice, as Finn said, that we can give to our clients, like, hey, I'm going to sit back. I'm just here to hold the container and support you. You're going to do the actual healing, and we're just going to follow where you go. So it's a beautiful thing. I do love it. And I also hear that, folks, also that it's really, like Stephen said, to your point, it's about loving people and wanting them to heal. And I think that is a crucial part of it. Tawana Marie.
Yeah, first of all, love, this is such a beautiful question. So much of how I have journeyed through life, I think it just was going to happen that EMDR would intersect with my life, but the roots connected to it are really what birthed my chapter. It was 20 plus years of hope merchant material and proofs of concept called my clients. They taught me that, we can only take someone as far as we've had the audacity and bravery and authenticity and fear to go to get back, rescue, resuscitate the parts of ourselves that deserve to come into full light and being and impact. And so it was learning that I get to tap into my birthright of becoming and healing and evolving. And it's a healing technology. To me, it's like it's a way to become more multilingual in human, right? Like to allow myself to really have no excuses to why I cannot connect and be with and bear witness to the human across from me. But that starts within myself. And so it was my clients whose audacity to show up and heal, and me seeing that, and then their interactions with me that allowed me to dare to fall in love with myself, to dare to learn that I am worthy, that really led me there. And they're so integral that I've got about half of them now. I'm having them autograph my book because they are my proofs of concept. And that's where the love is. The love is for, Stephen really said it, for myself, and it gifts itself outwardly. But my clients, I cannot unknow. They are my heroes and my proofs of concept. And that allowed me to show up to myself and honor myself in those ways. So thank you.
Thank you, Tawana Marie. Danielle.
Yes, I agree with everybody, to be honest with you. What I found is that for me, EMDR worked. And this is after many, many years of therapy with lots of different therapists, some of them affirming, some of them not so affirming. But it still left me with some things that were unresolved, as we talked about, like the sediment on the bottom of the water. So that EMDR just did such a remarkable job with me. And then I was trained, and it did a remarkable job with the people who participated in the training. And I had a really good therapist too. So, I mean, I think you have to, like the quality of the therapist and their willingness to adapt the model, the interventions to the need of the person, and not just let some difficulty be a roadblock, but to be inclusive. And what I found is that as a therapist, it's important for me to know the whole person or persons, and this will allow me to suggest interventions that really click with them. So similar to Steve, I celebrate people, and that's the highest, that's the most important thing. There are other modalities that are effective, but I found EMDR to be the most effective for me and for the clients that I'm working with. So, but I think that really individualizing for the client and not saying no to certain clients, or, I mean, look what happened like a couple, several years ago, like when I was first trained, the attitude towards parts was, ooh, I don't go there, and where would we be if we hadn't developed and we didn't have people come forward and speak to that issue and make it less scary. So I think within the tradition of therapy, sometimes we'll find these conservative parts, which is, I'm the normal one, I'm the therapist, I'm going to tell you what to do. And I think that there's been so much of a change, so much more person-centered work. And I think EMDR fits very well within that model of person-centered work if you ride that train. You can also go somewhere else. And that's why it's really important to check out the therapist too, in addition to what they're using. So thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Steph.
Yeah, one of the things that comes to mind is like when I was growing up, I had this messaging consistently of like all humans are broken or damaged. There's nothing good in them. And it wasn't until I found EMDR that I realized that there were a lot of modalities that I've been using that really rubbed me the wrong way because they aligned with that. That there was something about this person that needed to be fixed or repaired or like they were missing something. And with EMDR, when I found it and I found the AIP model, it like clicked of like, oh, sorry, it clicked of like, oh no, here's science backing what I intuitively have known for so long. And now I can engage and work with clients from a stance that, yeah, views people as whole from the beginning. And so, yeah.
Thank you, Steph. Other thoughts?
I really appreciate the idea. The thing that stuck with me in my training is the brain will go where it needs to go to heal, which was a real big eye opener for me because I grew up not tr being taught not to trust my brain or my thoughts. Um, and just to give the client agency that you can work with your brain or your brain can work for you and with you. Um, I feel really lucky that as a client, my therapist at the time was introducing art therapy, which I didn't know what that was until I became an expressive arts therapist. But then I thought I couldn't possibly do an EMDR training unless it had some focus in art therapy. And so it was really special to find, Jamie's Institute and work with, big shout out to Irene Rodriguez, who is the trainer, and just so beautifully incorporated art, music, explained the EMDR process in such a fun and funny way too. Um, I love the neuroscience of the brain and what EMDR can bring in, but I also love that the word like magic came up in in the training a lot. We know so much and yet we know nothing at all about the brain. Um, and just a testament to like the institute where I was trained. I sat down to dinner with a friend the other night who is like just halfway through their training. And they said, I still don't understand how to explain EMDR. And they said, can you explain it to me? And so I said, yeah, I'll tell you what I tell my clients. And, thanks to Irene's encouragement and like our practice, my friend was recording me and I just did the thing I learned how to do because of the training. And at the end, my friend was like, oh wow, my training's really boring. That's not how it's taught to be. They're like, wow, it's really funny. And so I once again am really grateful because yeah, the way that I have been trained and the way that I've learned EMDR, I'm realizing is maybe not the way it usually goes. But it works for me and it works for my clients so well. So thanks.
Thank you, Carmine. Appreciate it. And definitely, Jamie has set us up to make this accessible for neurodivergent folks, working from a position of understanding LGBTQIA plus needs around this has been a really big part of so much positive feedback from folks that I train. It's really cool. Thank you, Jamie.
Can I add a thought just onto that? Because even the style and the structure and the approach to the book, most of the EMDR training and research and workshop is like, here is the quantitative hard science of this that is totally abstracted away from people's lives. And just in the way that the book is written and presented, it is much more of the arts, the humanities, the lived experience, the story, and that very human side of connection, which is for good reasons, but the quantitative science abstracts away from that. But it's something that we need to bring back. And just so even where this book fits into the literature and how it does so is it is itself an act of queering.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting it, Steve. Appreciate that.
Any other questions from the audience? I have a few, but just opening up for anyone who'd like to ask something.
While people maybe think of questions, Roshni, do you mind if I say something that's tickling my brain? EMDR is based in the indigenous beat of the soul, and the back and forth bilateral movement has been seen in indigenous cultures across the globe for centuries. And it's a way for people to experience that sacred feeling in a more westernized cultural context. And that, the dance helps with that, and psychedelic medicine helps with that. But really, EMDR is like a wonderful way to get acclimated to something that was colonized out of our existence in this world.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. I think identifying the indigenous roots and ancient roots of EMDR allows us to really expand our practice. And on that note, what is one thing that you can suggest for someone who is not within the LGBTQIA plus communities, just to know and understand for their clients in terms of what's going on right now in the climate? That was a very complex question. I think I added like 5 things in there, but yeah, just one thing you'd like to suggest for folks to be able to integrate into their EMDR therapy that can assist our communities during these dark times.
You can't EMDR oppression and racism and everything else out of the person. And you need to make sure that you are creating space to even just agree that shit is really hard right now.
Thank you, Finn. Definitely acknowledging it. We know it's happening. We have to talk about it. Lisa.
That was a very exciting way to say my name, which is otherwise a kind of boring 4-letter name. So I appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest thing is that safety is collective, and that neutrality is actually really violent and dangerous, right? So I think this idea that saying nothing is the equivalent of creating a safe and neutral environment, I think it mistakenly kind of situates neutrality as a safe signal. And so I think probably being willing to actually have a position and to name that position as some commitment to the kind of safety that you're aligned with. Because if you're aligned with a kind of safety that is killing me, then I would like not to pay you money. Right. I mean, just at the very bottom of what I can control, which is where my money and my time are spent. And so I think, one of the things we talk about a lot, like in the training community that I'm in, that I'm very grateful for, is this idea that transparency is like essential to safe attachment. And transparency may in fact mean that I disagree deeply with you, but I would rather have a genuine disagreement than try and decide whether or not you're positioned in a way that might harm me or harm the people who I love. And so I think that's one of the things, actually, quite frankly, from the conference that was bothersome to me, is there was such a push for neutrality, as if that were going to hold safe space for folks to exist and to think and to learn. And I think my lived experience as a larger bodied queer Black woman is that all of that push for neutrality made me feel less and less safe over the course of the conference, right? I felt more and more silenced. I felt more and more like they were asking me not to have perspectives and opinions that might be upsetting to folks. I also had some fairly negative experiences with folks at the conference who I think were demonstrating a lack of emotional maturity and capacity, right? And so I think all of that has to do with like what we hold ourselves to as people, but then also how we create space within the work that we're doing. And I think maybe kind of dismantling this false wall between who we are and who we are at work is sometimes really exhausting to me. And so I think that would be my soapbox. I'm now prepared to get off of, but it's like a Monday in Ohio, so you caught me on a tough day of existence, but that's kind of my perspective.
Said. Thank you so much, Lisa. I think that it is important to really highlight that neutrality is the side of the oppressor. And definitely at the EMDR International Conference, International Association Conference, in addition to other professional spaces, there is a lot of the same dynamics that we see playing out in the world as, kind of a microcosm that are happening. So I definitely saw racism and experienced some and invisibility. And it's really hard to be a person of color who's queer at a time like this and come into an environment that's supposed to be safe, I hate that word, but so it's supposed to be safe enough that you can be there to get information and get support for your clients. To experience that is disheartening. So I just want to say, being with the folks here who we, were able to create the book and spend some time together, that has given me so much hope in a time where hope is really, really, really lacking for our communities. So I want to personally thank each of you. You've really become part of my family and just chosen family. And I just am really stoked to be here with you today. So thank you all for what you do. Danielle, go ahead.
Well, the thing that comes to mind is my advice to the therapist, if they're not part of the community, is cultural therapist humility, which really to me means and working to understand the people that you're working with, the different groups, and then leaving room for empowering them to tell their narrative and be willing to learn from them, although it's not their responsibility to teach you. And I think that's so respectful. I mean, I've worked with a couple of people who really talked about their bad therapist experiences. And a lot of trans people will tell me that despite their level of education and accomplishment in life, that when they see a counselor, often the counselor doubts their narrative. Like they talk about their history. Oh, you must have remembered it wrong, and how dare you? And so, like thankfully, these folks will come back. But you really need to welcome them and you need to celebrate their culture. That's all.
Thank you. And yeah, I just want to add that it just takes one thing, saying one thing, and folks won't trust you anymore. So words do matter. I've had therapists say things to me where I've been seeing them for years and will turn around and not go back. And to them, it may not feel violent, but it changes the entire relationship. So it's okay to make mistakes. It's all part of it. But realizing that and coming back and being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Let me think about it. So doing your own work is something that I always advocate for. And I know a lot of the folks here would say the same. So, Steve.
In a similar kind of vein, I think it's important to remember that as powerful as techniques and tools like EMDR are, and as important as being able to do that well, at the end of the day, my belief is that the person who you are in the room and the quality of your character as another human being sitting with another is as, if not more important than how technically proficient you are. Because if you are not the kind of person who another human being would like to go on that journey with, it doesn't matter how skilled you are at 8-phase protocols. You're not going to get there. And who you are in the room is going to make those 8 phases. Even if you're not as technically proficient, it's going to make them more powerful because of, put it in EMDR terms, all of the adaptive information that just who you are as a human being brings to that relationship. So, yeah.
Thank you, Stephen. Any of the other authors, contributors want to chime in on that one?
I heard a lot about just kind of sitting in the grief, and also just want to encourage be willing to sit in the rage with us and the fear. There's a lot of rage, and it's not always easy to find a therapist who can hold that with our community. Sometimes I have a hard time holding that with my own community. So maybe getting good with your rage and your fear.
Thank you, Carmine. So important. I think a lot of times oppressed communities are expected to stay quiet and especially not express rage, because often communities with more power and privilege don't understand the rage because they're not getting the piece about how it's a constant hammering on you. And so how could you have any response? other than rage, right? Yet we are pushing that down and pushing it down to show up in ways that feel like we're supposed to, or that we might be being forced to. So rage is absolutely revolutionary.
I need to go, but if y'all want to still stay and hang out some more, I know people are slowly leaving. The room is open. But it was a delight seeing you all today, and I'm sure we'll see each other in the internet sphere soon.
Thank you, Jamie.